syllables. And then lines 4 and 5 are both 7 syllables. So I like to tell students it's like a haiku wearing clown shoes. So take a crack at writing a tanka. You could riff on one of the themes in one of Kelly's poems. You could reflect on the recent massive triple threat religious holiday we just experienced. You could reflect on loss, on spring, on whatever you want, but write a tanka if you can. And I'm going to bring up our next reader, Heather Lyke. Heather M.F. Lyke is a writer living in southern Minnesota. During the day, she works in education, where she is known for saying yes to far too many things, underestimating how long projects will actually take to complete, and communicating in metaphor. In the evening, she mainly focuses on the metaphors. Lyke has spent much of the last 2 decades teaching high school students and adults of the art of creative writing, the art of the novel, and the art of instructional practices. Currently, she is also a staff writer and podcast host for Third Eye Education. Her nonfiction focuses mainly on the art of teaching and learning. However, most of her work is poetry, which often stems from her strong sense of place. Her poetry can be found hanging on the walls of a Northfield tattoo parlor and in various literary magazines and anthologies, including in I can never say that word, parentheses, Human to Human, From Pandemic to Protest, and Constellate. Please welcome Heather.
My husband's family always says it's not a party until someone spills, and I feel like it's not a poetry reading until someone can't pronounce a word. So it's now officially a poetry reading.
Glad to do that.
Thank you. So I'm going to start actually. Okay, Jean, can you tell me when I have like 10 minutes so I know I'm finished? Yeah. Thanks. Okay, thanks. Just be like, Heather, you hit 10. Okay. I have no plan. So, because that's the way teaching works sometimes.
Right.
That's right. So I'm going to start actually. I have a poem. So I've been teaching poetry and creative writing since 2002. And in 2015, I was starting to think, maybe I don't have what it takes to be a creative writing teacher, right? And then this one student, you know the student, they walk in and they're so moldable, right? Her name was Shay. And Shay, this is a poem that, one of the first poems that Shay wrote where I went, ooh, this is a student that's gonna keep me teaching creative writing. Song of Cold Coffee, and I'm sharing this with her permission. I leave broken brush strokes of ice in the palm of cold spoons, swirling the leftover coffee spills once dizzied by the crazy stir of a hand. The lost buzz and pull of the liquid, the whole echo of the cup. It is easy to watch the lips touch the rim, the fingers hug the handle, the eyes close with warmth. Soon the coffee pools at the bottom cold, placed beside the open sink, sitting by to be washed. I'll share another one with you as well, a different student of mine. So I currently work in a small school district in southeastern Minnesota, and we have no creative writing class there. My job is actually to support teaching staff, but there's still this little group of creative writing students who somehow found me, and so we get together just kind of in the hallways periodically, and we celebrate every time we get a rejection letter on Submittable. That's what we do. That's our whole relationship. Congratulations! If you were one of my students, I would now give you some M&Ms. All right. So this is a poem that was shared by one of those students. It's a mini prose poem. Luck isn't real. It is what foot I step forward with, what hand I put out, what face I put on for the world that leads me to the beautiful consequence that is life. Karma isn't an excuse. She can't get that one published. Guys, Submittable keeps saying that it's not the right fit. You guys know the letter. It's not Jean Procot's going to read later. And I emailed Jean or texted Jean, I don't know. I connected with Jean somehow, and I'm like, Jean, I don't know what to read. And she's like, you're reading Minnesota Martini. So here you go, Jean. This is for you. But also it's for my husband, I mean, to be honest. And we're at a bar. Minnesota Martini. I'm still in the hallway, but already I know my husband is boiling wild rice brats. The Grain Belt Premium bubbling. I pause to breathe deep, let the kitchen in. Rounding the corner, he is there, leaning on the counter, aproned and intent, fussing while unfazed by steamed lenses. Seeing me, he sits down a neoprene tong. A quick kiss. Then with lips still lifting off my cheek, he turns to grab the Nonic glass. He opens the fridge, pulls out another beer. He finds the jar of oversized olives. He slow pours me a pint of love. So I was debating on what pieces to share tonight, and I'm actually working on a collection right now that all kind of cycles around teaching and education. And for me, one of my biggest educators was my grandma Avis, who passed away a few years ago. And so this poem is for her. It's about her. Plants need watering. Right? It's spring, right? Plants need watering. Head tipped back, I savor the last of my soda, sweetness still on tongue, as I wedge my hand into my glass. I fish out ice not yet melted. Reflexively, my arm curves and the cube falls between my fingers into the dirt of my golden pathos. Time tips back. I'm 6 and sitting in the late summer sun on the steps of my grandmother's back deck, worn wood burning the base of my thighs. I hear a wet racetrack running in loops and turn. She's dipping long fingers into a now empty lemonade, chasing ice cubes in circles around the bottom of her glass. Once finally palmed, race finally won, she slips each imperfect sphere into the soil of her duet dahlia. The sunlight shimmers, off water transformed, glistening until it subsides into full darkness. Soil enriched, roots welcoming, and now, for a second, maybe 2, I feel my grandmother's cool, wet fingers slide beneath the base of my chin and lift my head. Her voice melting with wind. Grow. Breathe. I also have an obsession with artwork. So I have this friend, this social studies teacher. I actually had a crush on him when I was in high school. You know who I'm talking about. And he looks distractingly like my husband, which is sometimes really weird because they're now in the same social studies department. I know, it's a thing. And he and his wife host us every year for a social studies party. And his wife has this beautiful artwork collection, but there's this one that every time you use the bathroom, you can see it hanging in their bedroom, and I don't like it. Your artwork is a fake. Your artwork is a fake. Sharp curve of left hip, subtle twist of spine, base of breast resting round with nipple centered hard. Her thin fingers breeze the base of her erect pale neck. She lifts midnight oceans of moonlight hair into the tangles that you wish your fists were making. Shadow of ass cleft plunging into the darkness between the base of your hard polished brass. You framed fallacy. Pencil lines too fine. Shading blended too pure, the contour sweeping too soft. You've outlined a woman revised. Paint me. One tit off center, fat ass dimpled curls frizzed in knots pre-made. Full figured realism. Stretch me on your fucking canvas. Mount me on your wall. Look at teacher's mom is really nice. This one's a little bit longer. There's this drive-through coffee shop that on the mornings that I don't go to McDonald's for my $1 large Diet Coke, I go to Mocha. And right, I know there's some people who know they love the Mocha. And there's this one barista. This is the barista. To the guy at the drive-through coffee shop who thought me sexy for driving a stick. Thank you. Too often, it's a gas station attendant who wonders if a 6-shifter gearbox is too much for me to handle, or the car salesman who is surprised to learn a manual transmission is more important to me than the car's color. So thank you for asking me about my horsepower without conditioning it with an "I'll wait for you to check your owner's manual," and for sharing your car history with me based on the assumption that I care rather than the belief that you're boring me. And thank you for asking to drive my car just as my husband often does, because both of you see power as an asset, and for asking not because you don't think I can't handle it, but because you want to know what it feels like to experience the control and strength that I single-handedly manage every day. And thank you for sharing that you wish your girlfriend had the confidence to drive a stick, because that shifted light onto the real problem. We raise our girls to be nothing but coquettish and kind, and we raise our boys to think that's acceptable. So thank you for realizing that that is bullshit. Too often, it's my own father wondering if I'm emasculating my husband by holding a higher degree, by making more money, or my own brother who shares with me that my losing a few pounds is all I need to be beautiful, to be finally wanted. So thank you for telling me that I'm sexy in a very respectful and not at all catcallish way because of my transmission and because of my horsepower. You and I both know that what makes me sexy is what is under the hood. It is that I am in control of what gear I am in, and that I can pass any man on the road. And also, thank you for the free skim milk mocha. That's 10? Okay, that's 10. I have 10 to 13.
Yeah. Throw in one more.
I'm at 2 short ones. All right, since we're talking about education. Artful thinking. Occipital lobe snaps signals, synapses them like tree branches to frontal lobe to the birds of my brain that take flight. On cue. Pure cerebellum coordination. No time to let pools of thought float in active, relaxing, and teal ponds of peace. Ideas in longitudinal migration adjust. Seek more resources. A cortex vortex folds left side to mirror right, cross the midline in a Rorschach reflection of genius, for thinking is an art.
All right.
And I have one tiny last one because it's meant to be spoken and not read on the page, so I don't have it published anywhere because it loses its impact. So here it is for you guys today, just for you. You can play with my words anytime. All phrases can be turned innuendo if you're creative. If your vocal inflection is refined, unrefined. I'd prove it if this was a speech, but it's a poem. A poem.